All right, friends, it's T, and I'm back with a new video on this health guy. I just saw this video, it popped up, and I figured, you know what, I'm gonna do a reaction to this video. His name is Metabolic Mind. Yeah, I don't know, Metabolic Mind. I don't know. He's a vegetable slave, a vegan slave. Let's say healthy. Just because you label something healthy, that doesn't mean it's healthy. It is healthy. Like, it's healthy to eat these vegetables. Okay, what's so healthy about them? He never gives any reason what's so healthy about vegetables. That's the thing. I just don't understand these channels whatsoever. We're gonna review this. You'll find out. You'll see how he covers this stuff up. But anyways, all right. So healthy mind. This dude says plant versus animal protein. How healthy user bias misleads nutrition science. Okay.
Did you know that being healthy can ruin a scientific study? It's called healthy user bias.
Being healthy. What is being healthy exactly, sir? Give an example of what is being healthy.
You may have heard of it before, but you may not realize how it can ruin a study's conclusions. So let's talk about healthy user bias in the context of recent headlines that eating
The word right off the bat, biased, right there. What does that mean to you, biased? See what I mean?
more plant protein and less animal protein reduces your risk of heart disease. And we'll see how that evidence kind of falls apart when we consider healthy or unhealthy user bias. Welcome to Metabolic Mind, a nonprofit
Healthy or unhealthy, user biased. Okay.
initiative of Bazooki Group, transforming the study and treatment of mental disorders by exploring the connection between metabolism and brain health. Thank you for joining us on this journey. As I mentioned, the study headlines are clear. The recent study concluded eating more plant protein and less animal protein reduces your risk of heart disease. Now that's
What? Eating more plant protein. Plants are deficient in amino acids. So why would you do that? That makes no sense. And humans are carnivores. Why would they eat plants? If they're deficient, they're deficient. That makes absolutely no sense. I think this guy doesn't understand. There's only two types of animals out there in the kingdom. There's herbivores and there's carnivores. There's no such thing as omnivore. That just means animal of opportunity, because you could put anything in your mouth, especially these sweet drugs that they're pumping out there. So that makes absolutely no sense. That's just like these people, they're constantly fighting over the sexes. There's only two sexes, male and female, okay? There's no other sexes out there. If you're claiming that you're transgender, you're another sex, you're acting.
sounds compelling, right? And it fits the common narrative, so many experts don't feel the need to dig any further. But if we do dig into the details, we see that the data fall apart and really have no meaningful impact on our food or health choices. Now, before we go further, though, please remember our channels for informational.
I still don't understand that part where he said that meat is going to cause some kind of cardiovascular disease. How can something that is not deficient in any nutrient, has no sugar in it, or any toxins like these plants that cause stress in your body and inflammation, and meat does not cause inflammation, doesn't cause any of these things, or addictions, how could that cause that? That makes absolutely zero sense.
Purposes only. We're not providing individual or group medical or healthcare advice or establishing a provider-patient relationship. Many of the things that we discuss can be dangerous if done without supervision, so please always consult.
I mean, it's kind of obvious. He must be eating these plants. That's why he's so healthy. He's lost his hair. He has to wear these artificial glasses, which you would never wear in nature. His teeth are probably rotting. He's seeing a doctor. And his voice is very feminized because of high estrogen from eating these so-called healthy plants. So they're really healthy. That's why he has to wear eyeglasses. He's lost his hair. His voice is high estrogen. He looks stressed, and he looks extremely weak and docile.
your physician, your healthcare team before changing your lifestyle or medications. So first off, I'm mostly talking about nutrition epidemiology studies. Okay. Studies where researchers will follow thousands of individuals for years or even decades. Sure. And they have them fill out a couple questionnaires over that time frame about what they ate, and then they crunch all the data to see who has heart attacks, who doesn't.
Yeah, the majority of people out there are eating slave food diets with a carnivore diet, natural diet as carnivores. But they're eating these slave foods. Yeah. Okay.
And who gets diabetes, who dies early.
The only way for this test to actually really give you a conclusive result is you would have to segregate what you're eating separately. But they're not. That's not what they're doing here in these studies. It's all combined together.
And if what they ate may have contributed to their health issues.
Okay, what did they eat and what contributed to their health issues? What part of that food they ate did they eat that caused that health issue? Because not all foods are going to cause that particular health issue, is it now, right, sir? So which one was it? How do you know which one it was? What tests could test for that? Please tell me, because I'd love to know, unless you're a magician.
Discussed in the past, these studies have numerous weaknesses, including, the infrequent subjective analysis of what people eat, leading to pretty low quality.
Yeah, but they eat everything together. They eat everything.
Data collection. They often have very small hazard ratios, meaning the overall effect is small, so it's hard to know what the findings mean for you as an individual. And that's just to name a few. But perhaps the most concerning is the concept of healthy user bias or unhealthy user bias, meaning one group just happens to be much healthier than the other, and it has nothing to do.
Think about it. Why is one group healthier than the other? Could you please explain to us why is one group healthier than the other? What's making them so healthy?
With the specific variable being measured, like what kind of protein someone ate. And here's the thing.
All he keeps talking about is protein. Meat is not just protein. It's packed with nutrients, dude. It's not deficient in any nutrients. If something is deficient in any nutrients, it cannot be healthy for you. And meat is not deficient in any nutrients.
This is super easy to detect. In this example, all you have to do is go to the results section and the baseline characteristics and compare the highest to the lowest quartile of plant versus animal protein ratio. And you see a significant difference. Those that ate more animal protein were more likely to smoke, to drink alcohol, less likely to
smoke and drink alcohol? What? I don't understand. What does that have to do with animal versus plant protein? Is this to divert you from eating animal protein? Because it's going to make you do what? Less physical activity, smoke, and drink alcohol? How does meat do that? How does meat make you drink alcohol? This is ridiculous, man. Alcohol is from plants, and all plants are drugs, and all drugs are made from plants. Smoking is from plants as well. He's trying to tell you that plants are fucking healthy for you, but if you smoke them and if you drink them, they're unhealthy. And what does physical activity have to do with anything?
Exercise, more likely to have diabetes or hypertension.
Exercise so you could stress yourself. Okay, so you could die early. Okay. Diabetes, how does it give you diabetes and hypertension? Meat. That makes no sense. Are you talking about the alcohol and smoking cause the hypertension and the diabetes or whatever? Oh man, because I mean cigarettes have sugar in them, don't they? They put sugar in there. Come on, man, this is ridiculous.
Tension. So when you see this difference, it's actually no surprise.
What was the difference between meat and plant protein? Don't give us some stupid ass thing about, well, you're most likely to drink alcohol and smoke drink plant alcohol and smoke plant cigarettes. You know that? And you're gonna be less active doing exercise. But exercise is not a thing, it's artificial. There's no such thing as exercise.
There's an increased risk of heart disease in the group that has diabetes and high blood pressure and smokes and drinks and.
Yeah, there is. People that are doing those things, they have a high degree of getting that. What does that have to do with meat, though?
doesn't exercise, right? Nobody's surprised by that.
Right.
It's actually more surprising that there wasn't a difference in the risk for stroke, but we'll talk about more of that later.
A
Now,
risk for stroke. Well, if you're doing these plant proteins like alcohol and smoking cigarettes from plants, of course, because they're so healthy for you, right? That's why there's more chances of getting a stroke too.
it's important to note that researchers can try to adjust for the smokers or those with
Yeah.
pre-existing diabetes or hypertension, etc. But we have to acknowledge that this is statistical guesswork and not an exact science. So we can't say for sure that these adjustments get it right. But we also have to acknowledge that it's foolish to believe that we can correct for every aspect of someone's health. For instance, looking at the baseline characteristics, who's more likely to get 8 hours of sleep? Or, do meditation and manage their stress, or have more meaningful social interactions.
People that aren't eating toxic plants, which are causing inflammation and stress in their body. Yeah, those are the ones that are able to get more stress. To get better sleep, sorry.
Or a more meaningful job, a sense of purpose, right? Or who's more likely to see their doctor for preventive care or be more proactive in their health. Now, of course, it's not 100% across the board, but for the majority, it's not likely to be the people who smoke and drink alcohol and don't exercise. But here's the thing, the study can't adjust for all these factors, and you better believe that they can impact the results of a study. So when you see results like this, those who ate more plant protein, less animal protein had quote-unquote better health, you have to ask, how confident am I that it was the difference in protein intake that led to the difference in outcomes, and that it wasn't influenced by the baseline level of health between the subjects? Unfortunately, we have to conclude that we really can't be confident at all in that conclusion. And thus, the grand headlines about how the study helps us understand much more about animal and plant proteins is simply wrong. You see, one of the main reasons to consider healthy user or unhealthy user bias is not only to understand the validity of the statistics, but to ask, does this data reflect me or the patient I'm seeing right now? And that's where this study kind of falls apart in
Reflect you? I thought you're the doctor. Okay.
providing general advice. For example, the lowest carb consumption group was at around 40% of their daily calories. So would
Carnivores shouldn't be eating any carbohydrates. That's what domesticates you. That's what makes you fat. You see any fat carnivores out there other than humans? When they start eating carbs, they become fat. They've domesticated themselves like a boar turning into a pig.
this data apply to someone using ketogenic therapy to treat a metabolic or brain-based disorder? No.
What's causing that metabolic or brain disorder? Oh, I know. These toxic plants. Wow, they're so healthy for you. That's what's causing it. That's why they're so healthy.
Wouldn't, not at all. And I don't want to imply that this is a unique issue with this study. For comparison, here's a nutrition epidemiology study that concluded those eating low-carb diets were at higher risk of premature death or heart-related death. Again, we can see the lowest group was eating 214 grams of carbs per day. That was the lowest, nowhere near a true low-carb diet. And people in
Yeah, they're very unhealthy for you. Absolutely.
that group were more likely to be men, to have less than a high school education, be more likely to smoke and drink alcohol, and more likely to have diabetes. Clearly unhealthy user bias.
Yeah, because they're poor. They have no money, so they eat slave food diets. They're more likely to eat a slave food diet, yes.
And just for good measure, here's one more study concluding that red meat increases the risk for heart disease, comparing the highest.
But how does it do that exactly? How does red meat do that? Please tell us.
To lowest quintile of red meat consumption. Those in the highest group were more likely to be smokers, get less physical activity, and in this study, they ate almost 1,000 calories more per day. 1,000 calories. Talk about a bias, right? So you seeing a pattern? Because I sure am. And when the effect sizes are so small with hazard ratios of 1.1, 1.2, 1.4, there's no way we can tell that it's a true effect instead of an unhealthy.
I'm going to have to agree with him there. You just can't find, you don't know if it's a true effect because these studies suck, man.
Healthy user bias effect. So does healthy user bias render a study useless? Well, a number of opponents may say yes, and I think there's no question that it diminishes the value of the findings significantly. But these studies can raise questions that should then go on to be studied with better, more reliable study designs where we can. Now, we have to acknowledge it's hard to do the randomized controlled trial on 10,000 people for 20 years. So that's where these studies fill a role. But
Okay.
that doesn't make them high quality evidence. But here's an interesting twist. Studies with healthy or unhealthy user bias can actually be really instructive in the negative. And here's what I mean. If a population is less healthy at baseline, but does not have a worse outcome, that's a pretty good marker that whatever they were doing wasn't all that harmful, at least for the time frame studied. Some may even say it was protective, although the strength of that evidence is also low. So in this case, the less healthy population at baseline did not have an increased risk of stroke, despite eating a higher percentage of animal foods. So as I said, the data quality is still low.
Why would they have a stroke eating animal foods? Why? Give us a reason, man. Please, come on, dude.
Oh, but how do we explain that if animal foods are so obviously bad for vascular health? Well, I'll just leave that question there.
Yeah, if it's so bad, give us a reason. What makes it so bad? How does it cause these things? What in it is causing it? What inside these foods are causing it? We know in plants what are causing these problems in humans. Yeah, these lectins, these oxalates, we know that. We name them off. We call them oxalates. In rice, we call it arsenic. In these seeds, we call it cyanide or lectins or whatever, or polyphenols, okay? These are all toxic to humans. But please, that's what we know. They're causing these metabolic diseases in humans. We already know that. And these plants are unhealthy because of these toxins. Now tell us, what is unhealthy in meat that is causing these so-called diseases that you keep naming off? You can't give us one. And you want to know why? Because there are none. That's why. You're full of shit.
Because there isn't a good explanation, but likely isn't all that
I just gave the good explanation. There you go, folks.
harmful, right? Okay, now despite the concerns with unhealthy user bias, I predict we're going to see the standard response to the study that it adds to the science, suggesting we would all be healthier if we switched to more plant protein.
But what would make us more healthier if we switch to more so-called plant protein? And plants are not protein, they're fiber. But tell me, what would it be? What in it makes it healthy?
Unfortunately, just about every single one of those studies fails the healthy user bias test, and therefore the science does not adequately answer the question if the health outcome difference is due to the type of protein eaten or simply due to the baseline health characteristics of the individuals. And if we're going to use data to make sweeping recommendations for what an entire population should eat, I would hope that we would do that based on very strong data with very little chance of us being misled. Unfortunately, that's not the case here. So when you see data like this, remember to ask yourself, could there be an unhealthy user bias influencing the results? If the answer is yes, realize that the data is weaker than it appears from a statistical standpoint and probably doesn't have the impact that many think it might. I hope this discussion was...
What? Yeah, I would agree. It doesn't it has a bad impact on people because people believe what you tell them. They try to equate that meat is bad because it's associated with you eating and drinking these plants. That's crazy. Then the plants are toxic. Like I said in the beginning, it's the plants. But anyways, there you go. I stand corrected. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Same bad channel, same bad time. See you in the next video, man. This is ridiculous, but let him keep talking for a bit here.
It's helpful, to give you a different perspective on nutrition science. If it was, please like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. And please share this video with those who it may help. And as always, please leave us a comment.
Yeah, but he hasn't named one healthy thing about plants. And he never named one unhealthy thing in meat. That made absolutely no sense. There wasn't anything named what is healthy about plants for you and what is unhealthy inside meat. Other than he said it's going to make you smoke these plants and drink these plants. And then it's associated with these things or whatever. Yada, yada, yada. And you don't want to exercise. Exercise that's stupid. What's exercise? What the fuck do you need to exercise for? I'll see you in the next one, man. This made absolutely no sense. It's ridiculous shit.